Great growth day. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Doing Life with the Word. I'm Les.
Good morning, everybody. It's Albie.
You mute. Can't hear you, bro.
Oh, I'm muted. Oh,
Yeah.
my bad. Good morning, it's Alex.
What's going on, everybody? Listen, we are tapping in to day three of frames. Perspective is everything. Before we get started, I'd like to just do some housekeeping. Definitely go to your Google Store, your App Store, and download this YouVersion Bible app. It is a phenomenal um, app that you can tap into. It's free, and there's many different features right at your fingertips, and it's just a great way to tap in with the Word. Each day, there's a Facebook and Stories like feature where you can get in there and get a bite-sized word, but an impactful word for your day. Then they also have the same thing for your kids, where they have a message that is very relatable to your youth, our youth, and get them on their way with a word before they go to school. So definitely make sure y'all tap in and
They
follow
got
us on Instagram, Facebook. Um,
they got some awesome Holy Week plans for kids.
oh, do they?
Oh my God, some great stuff for the kids for
That's what's
Holy
up.
Week. Get them ready for Resurrection Sunday and all that.
Yes,
Like it's
Holy Week.
and it. What I think the best part about it is it's so on their level, so to where they really could gain an understanding of what the whole week is all about, what Christ did, why he did it, all that. Like it's
For
good. It's really
sure.
good for them.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And you know what? I've noticed they also have a couple other apps. They have some games too.
Yeah.
They got a game app where it teaches them the word, and they playing a game just like they play these
Right.
games on Roblox and stuff like that. And
Yep.
they're doing their thing. You know what I mean? They're doing their thing when it comes to sharing the word of God in many different ways. So really excited about that. So definitely for everyone that's tapping in, please make sure y'all download that app and use it, y'all. Use it for sure.
Yep.
All right, fellas, y'all ready? You say prayer and then we jump into it.
Awesome, awesome. So, Lord, we thank you for this plan. We welcome you in this morning to help us to get your perspective because perspective is everything. We thank you for the
Yes, sir.
author of this plan. We thank you for empowering us to speak about the plan. And we just welcome you in so you can be glorified in the people who hear us us by what you're doing in our lives so it can affect their lives. And we thank you for it in
Yes, sir.
Jesus' name. Amen.
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 All right. Excuse me. Human frames versus God frames. We're born with human frames and a human nature that causes us to see things and people a certain way. When we first see someone, we make assumptions by the way that they look. It could be their age, gender, clothes, skin color, accent, or several other variables that we initially notice. We immediately try to figure out who this person is through our human frames. Many times we get it all wrong. That's
Wow.
facts.
I'm a pastor in an urban area where people regularly come to our church asking for money. One night at an event, I was talking to someone in our church lobby, and I saw a guy walk in the door and talk to someone, and that person pointed at me. I knew he had just asked, "Where is the pastor?" He came up to me, and I was all ready to hear a story of how he needed gas money for his broke down car around the corner, or for a bus ticket to go see his sick mother. At the time, at that moment, I was the little jaded. I was a little jaded and looking at him through human eyes. Boy, was I wrong. This guy told me he was with the fireworks company that was going to set up a tent in our parking lot. I asked him how long he had worked for that fireworks company, and then my jaw dropped. I was talking to the owner with 100 plus locations. Then he started telling me he wanted to partner with us and help us with outreach. Wow.
Wow. Over the past 5 years, this company has helped us with dozens of outreaches to serve our community. Even greater than that, we have become friends and I have ministered to their family. Just imagine if I would have let my human frames take over and told him I didn't have time to talk to him. I could have missed it. Ask God to help you see others through his frames today. Second Corinthians chapter 5 tells us that we are part of God's street team. We are called to represent him everywhere we go. This passage talks about the old life being gone and the new life beginning. Now that we are new people, we must stop looking at others through human frames and see them through God's frames. Reframing questions for today. Have you ever looked at someone through human frames and got it all wrong? How can you reframe your current view on someone to begin to see their potential instead of their problems?
That's good.
That's great. Um, there's this trend going on social media right now, and yeah, I don't know if y'all seen it, but I've been seeing it a lot lately, where there's like a line of men or a line of women, right? And they have balloons in their hands. So let's say there's a line of women, right? They all got balloons in their hands, and the lady, whoever is the host, brings out a gentleman, and the women, based on his appearance, pop their balloons, whether they are attracted to him or not, based off just the way he looks. And they all pop their balloons, or some of them pop their balloons, some of them don't. So the one video I seen, the dude walked out, dreadhead dude, tattoos everywhere, sagging pants, he had Timberland boots on. Just he looked like like a dude from the hood, right? He walks out, all the girls pop, all the women, sorry, not girls, all the women pop their balloons. So then the one lady, she asked all of them why they pop their balloons. She was like, "Oh well, you just look like you young. You look like you're immature. You look like you're uneducated. You look like you don't have a care in this world." He's like, "That's crazy. I got a master's degree in such and such. What I mean, I got I own my own business. I don't have any kids. Like he was a successful, educated black man, but because he didn't look the part, and they seen him through the frames that they wanted to look at him through their perspective, potentially they could have lost out on somebody who could have been great for them. But because they only judged him by his appearance, you know what I'm saying? One of them missed out on somebody who could have potentially been the love of their life. And I feel like that's just crazy when I was reading this. I'm just like, man, like, yes, appearance does play a huge part. Like, we'd be lying to sit here and say, like, the first time we seen our wives, it wasn't that their appearance that drew us to them. You know what I'm saying? Of course it was. But you definitely have to give somebody the opportunity, get a chance to know who they are first before you just make a complete judgment and then count them out. And that's not just in a dating situation. That's in any situation. You know what I'm saying? But that's the first thing I thought about when we was reading this. I was just like, wow, like them human frames could really mess you up. It really can have you out here looking stupid. Because some of them women was out here looking stupid. Once he told them all the stuff, all the accolades he had, their jaws just dropped. Like, you got all that? Oh, all right.
Well, I think I love that you shared that, but I think and this is the first. I think I might have saw.
Yeah, you probably did.
Yeah, I think I saw it,
It's
but
a
I
bunch of them out there. You
didn't
probably
really
saw.
pay much attention to it. But based on what you said and based on what I've gathered from it is, that test is very shallow to begin
Oh
with
yeah. Oh my
because
gosh.
it is just based off appearance.
Right.
Because I mean, if I remember back in the day, Roger Lodge, you sitting between that divider, right? And you had the male and the female, and then she or he would ask them questions first.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Uh-huh.
that's how you supposed to do it to get to know the person,
Right.
before you even see him.
See him. Yeah.
And that's why I say this is that's shallow because you just pop the balloon just because he don't look the part.
Right.
But we've seen many um many women be with some dudes, and we be like, man, how he get hurt, right?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But that's we look. I ain't look. I'm one of them, right?
me,
Like how he get hurt? Like
me too.
how in the world did he get hurt, right? And it's like, man, because she got to know me. We got to know each other,
Right,
and
right,
it was beyond just what we see,
right.
and that is I appreciate him sharing that because as a pastor, you know some people ain't gonna share that.
Yeah,
Somebody
yeah.
some pastors ain't gonna be real like, yeah, I
Yep.
did look at this dude like he was a bum on the street, but my man
Right,
ended up being a fireworks coordinator or
right.
owner of
Yeah.
a fireworks company, and I
Like,
appreciate him sharing that because I mean humility, man,
yeah,
humility.
that's a real thing though. Like, and ain't no pastor out here that can honestly say that anytime somebody come up to them and ask for prayer, they're like, all right, let me immediately pray for you. Like, you will look at him like, wait a minute, who's this dude? He might be trying to rob me, or he might be a little dirty or something. Like, come on, like, stop. Don't pretend like you want to pray for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, even the disciples, like watching the Chosen, the disciples, the dude that had the leprosy, they was about to run away from. No, they was about to drop dude. Actually, like, yo, back up, bro. You got leprosy. Get away from us, dog. We ain't about to touch
Yeah.
Jesus. Get away from us. What's wrong with you? Like, come on, man. So they can't pretend, bro. Don't be fake. Come on, don't
Nah, they're
front.
human. Nah,
Yeah,
Yeah,
pastors,
of course.
pastors, they're human, and I think it takes tremendous courage for any man of the cloth to be transparent.
yeah,
Because in the church you're supposed to be as how Jesus was, and in the Bible don't talk a lot about his humanity, not a whole lot. Whether he was sarcastic, whether he had a personality, whether he was just always on business. And I think ministers of the gospel always have to, you know, they have to. And there's a passage that said, I forgot how it's worded, like, you don't want to be a stumbling block to anybody.
Yeah,
I'm just paraphrasing that passage. So it's one of those things where even if there is a pastor that was never a drunkard, he never had a problem with alcohol and stuff like that. If he has if he wants to have a cocktail, it's almost like he shouldn't, because there are people in your congregation are go to AA every week. They're recovering alcoholics. So you can't do it because someone's watching you and
yeah,
gleaning from you
yeah.
to aspire to walk with God like how you're walking with God. And if you're having a cocktail, then you're going to throw that person into a loop. So, you're for a pastor to say, "Oh man, I thought this guy was going to ask me for a bus ticket or this and that," that you're not even allowed to speak
Yeah,
about
that
with
ain't.
people,
Yeah, yeah,
because
right,
you're
right.
supposed to be held to a certain tier all the time. And I
yeah,
don't think that's fair for ministers, but that's how congregants view the man or woman of faith. Like, you shouldn't wear those heels, or you shouldn't have a Gucci bag, or you shouldn't drive that. You're supposed to be low and meek and faithful and serve. Like, you're not allowed
Where
to
did he
have
get that?
human
Where did he get that from,
experience.
though, bro? Like,
Well,
where
I
did
mean,
that
it's
perspective?
humans. It's just humans. We're all pursuing being born again.
Okay,
So it's just the human. Even if you was raised in church, there are some human frailties and faculties that people deem what Christ is, and if you're not like that,
Yeah,
then I can't follow you. That's just humans. I just think it's just humans, and I
yeah,
applaud that. But that thing with the bubble, Albie, don't pop in that bubble.
yeah.
I mean, the law of attraction is a real thing.
It is.
It's a
It is.
real thing, and people don't. They're not interested in getting to know the person. It's all about, if you look right, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Like Les said, it was shallow. Like,
Yeah,
it was
and
popping balloons because dude was short. Like, he ain't had the right height. He wasn't the right height, so they popped up based off of that. And then they asked him. They was like, "Oh yeah, he's a handsome guy, but he's just too short." Like, yo, this could be somebody that could potentially be everything you're looking for.
yeah, but that's not what relationships are.
Right,
Relationship is about filling my desires,
right,
fulfilling
right.
my wants, whether it's a
Yeah,
house, a
yeah.
car, a bank
In
account, a certain
today's,
opportunity. It's
right,
not about purpose of growing and having, what Michael Dixon K, he said, you shouldn't have a soul mate, you should have a goal mate. People don't look at it like
it's
that.
crazy.
People look at it like you should, if you're not lining up then I'm not going to love you on all these conditions, because I'm dealing with some stuff and I perceive you to be an outlet. And if I see you like that,
That's
oh, I'm
it.
popping that
Bro.
bubble. I'm
That's it.
popping that bubble. Yeah, because
No, that's major.
yeah,
That's major. And you choose somebody because you need an outlet.
yeah.
They're your outlet. That instead of you doing the work,
Right.
this person makes you feel good
Mhm.
and makes you and let me
But you
not just
gotta, you
take that
gotta, you
singularly.
gotta back up. Less is relationships are never about purpose. It's never about purpose. If me, you, and Albie, we can name when we were 11 and 12 years old the lustful desires, whether we can name several chicks that, oh, when I grow up, I want a girl like that. It was never about that girl and esteeming her and honor her and
Mhm,
supporting her. It was always about, and vice versa with the women,
mhm,
you know? Trust me. How can I say this? Like I have two daughters
mhm,
and I'm married right now. But in full transparency, if one of my daughters say, "Dad, I'm interested in this guy. He's divorced with two kids and no money," I'll probably be like, "No, chill." But guess what? Guess who stepped out on faith? Farron.
Right.
yep,
You see what I mean?
Mhm.
But
mhm,
I would sit there and tell Aubrey and Ava, nah, don't do that. He divorced. He got two
You got to
kids. He ain't
yeah,
got nothing
yeah.
going on.
You got
He's in
baggage.
his mid 30s. He ain't got nothing going on. Guess who stepped out on faith?
mhm, mhm,
Now I'm married to a woman who stepped out on faith and is believing in me to finally get herself together, and I'm still pursuing getting myself together. And yet I'm going to tell Aubrey and Ava, nah, don't do that. No, 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 he got it. So
mhm.
it's just that law of attraction, that perception, that you can't see the potential. You can't because we're just, but let a dude walk out on, that I'm like, oh, Aubrey, get him. Look, look, look. And he could be a wolf in sheep clothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's crazy though.
that's relationship.
Them frames. Yeah. Go ahead, Les.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking, like, the question, it said, "Have you ever looked at someone through human frames and got it all wrong?" I remember one time I was in Philly. It was me, Christina, my cousin, and his girlfriend. We was in Philly walking down the street. So this dude rolled up on us, tall, light skinned dude with cornrows and Timbs and everything. Like he was just he was just some random guy. He rolled up on us or whatever. So I don't remember how we got into a conversation with him, but we just started talking. He came up to us and was talking about we was about to go to Lucky Strikes and go play pool or whatever. We was talking about that. So he rolled up on us. Started talking to us out of nowhere, and my perception of dude was, yo, I'm not used to being around guys like that. I'm from Galloway. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not from any kind of hood, any kind of ghetto. I'm from the suburbs. So, I'm not used to being around grown men like that. You know what I'm saying? He just had that persona, like, big buff dude, like he was about to rob us or something. Like, my perception really was literally like, yo, let me be on guard because dude looked like he up to something. So we get to talking about bowling or pool or whatever, and we started talking about food and something else. And at the end of the conversation, we was talking to dude for a good 25 minutes. We ended up ministering to dude. We started talking about God and literally just started having a whole conversation about God. He was saying how he wanted to change his life. He wanted to turn his life around. He tired of living the life he living
Amen.
and how he grew up in church and he's trying to get back to God. We started sharing scriptures with him, and me and my cousin Junebug, we started sharing scriptures with him. And then the last thing we did before we left was we actually got a chance to pray for dude. We literally holding hands in the middle of Philly on Market Street, wherever we was at,
I
holding
know
hands.
exactly where you was
Yeah,
at.
yeah, holding hands,
Look,
praying with dude, like sincerely praying. Clapped him up, kept walking. But I'm like thinking about that moment. You know what I mean? If I was by myself, most likely I probably would have just kept walking. Like I wouldn't even give dude no time. But for some reason, we just ended up being in that moment, and that would have been a missed opportunity to really minister to somebody. I never seen this man ever again, and who
Mhm,
knows what he's doing now. But it was an opportunity to plant a seed. You know what I'm saying? And if we don't, like it says, godly frames, like we gotta, especially for us believers, we're supposed to walk in the spirit. So, and in that time, I really wasn't walking in the spirit. My flesh was in front immediately. You know what I'm saying? But we gotta also be ready for those moments. Like we got to kind of make sure that we're looking at opportunities or looking at situations as opportunities to minister at all times.
Mm-hmm.
At all times, like we literally have to be ready, and that's why we got to wear those godly frames. Because when we see people out, those frames will allow us to see, you know, what people like. I'll be out, this is crazy, right? I'll be out at Walmart or Wawa or anywhere, just living life, and I'll see somebody, and the Lord will just reveal to me, like, yo, that person. I remember I was at Wawa, real quick. I was at Wawa. I was ordering some food, and this lady walked up right next to me. This was like maybe 3 years ago. This lady walked up right next to me, and she started ordering food. And I looked over, and like I see tears coming down her eyes. And that moment, the Holy Spirit was like, "Yo, go pray for her right now. Go pray for her." And I didn't have the courage to do so. So I said my own little prayer, in that moment. But it's just like we have to be prepared for those kind of opportunities and be bold enough and have the confidence to just step out on faith and just do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because God showed me that for a reason. Like I would have just kept ordering my food and went up, got on my way. But I just happened to turn and see she was crying, and it happens so often, man. You could just look at people and see it in their faces and see it in their eyes, like they're dealing with so many things, and they need a word or they need a prayer
Yeah.
or something. You know what I'm saying? And if we don't do it, we're missing out on opportunities. We're not being obedient, number one, but also we're missing out on these opportunities to plant seeds in people that are searching for God,
Yeah.
or they're searching for a different feeling than what they're feeling right now. And we got to have them frames, man. Them frames are important. They're so important because it's like, how can you call yourself a believer, but you're not, you know what I'm saying? You're not following, you're not doing what God has called you to do. It's almost like a slap in the face, really. He's like, yo, I call you my disciple. You're supposed to be out here working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but man, it's just like them frames, godly frames are so important, man.
Yeah, I think like what I encounter a lot, because you guys know the work I deal with, and I know the frames is vital. We have to have the frames on.
Oh yeah.
Period.
Oh
We
yeah.
now God will always have a unfair advantage. She's able to see so much more than we can.
Yeah,
You know, we see a homeless person. He probably saw who knows what he saw, and we're like,
yeah, yeah.
we like, you see that guy, and I'm like, so he's always going to have a unfair advantage. The thing what I'm noticing with people, whether it's in the funeral home, whether it's my kids, whether it's my neighbor, like anything, I don't think everybody has the frames of exercising vulnerability. And what I mean by that is like
Mhm.
just the simple, hey man, how you doing? Oh, I'm fine, or and that's it, or hey, what's going on with you? No, everything's good. And I don't think we have a practice of just opening up.
Right.
I don't think that's a human practice. I think the concurrent stressors or financial stressors or financial commitments and responsibilities, parenting, whatever, I think that's so much on the primary that the secondary is like, hey, what's going on? We don't even know how to articulate what's going on here and here to just share and relate.
Mhm.
And it's so easy to just like, oh, I'm good. Oh, it was fine. Like we don't have a practice of just saying, how would I unload this? How would
Right.
I? You know? So them frames, sometimes the position obviously say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Whether they say everything good, at least, and if you do have another step, talk about what's going on with you.
Yeah.
Maybe that may have them open up some things. One of the reasons why I like doing life is because when my wife do get a chance to watch it, she say she learned a lot about me through doing life, because in the normal part of marriage, if we don't have, I don't know, a book we're reading, or maybe a Bible plan we're going over, or a peace lesson, stuff like that, you're not really going to instigate what's going on within one another. The
Right.
only time you really get to know one another is if you intentionally, whether it's a show, whether it's any type of literature, whether it's an argument, whether like it has to be something to instigate to see what's going on, but to initially just say, boom, it's I don't think it's a practice. I don't think everybody keeps those frames on, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And it's interesting. I actually have a little story that I want to share in regards to that. Is how it talks about in this piece here about being God's street team. We need to be the representatives, and for whatever reason, my family just thinks I'm like the holy one. So every time we have an event, I'm the one that's praying, doing the prayer over the food or pray. And then if something's happening with someone in the family, they call me to pray, and um
Yep.
it's a good thing. Like I love it, right? But we were at my niece's birthday party at Fun City, and uh, I think Tasha's dad, he started to pray. He called me up. He called me out like, yo, because she did something. My sister did something. She was like, yeah, we don't sing happy birthday because happy birthday derived from, and she told this whole story. And I was just like,
Man,
okay, like
she
I ain't
woke.
never heard that before.
She woke.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like,
She woke.
all right, cool. So he called me up, and I was like, Dad, you got it. You know what I mean? And it was interesting. Now, let me give you some context. Um, this party was packed. Like I'm talking about packed. That little room. It was so many people, and there was some energy in the room that I was like, it was groups of dudes, and they were different groups, but they was like, and I saw this. I just saw some little turmoil, and I'm like, man, I hope nothing happened. Is going down in here. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, I put my wife on alert, and I'm like, hey, listen, you know, you see what I see, right? Like let's just make sure the kids, we can just quickly get out if anything goes
Right,
down.
right.
Dude's looking real rough, like, and real like. So I'm sitting in one of those massager chairs, and one dude came to me. He got tattoos on his face and stuff, and he was like, "Yo, man, we about to go smoke, man. You trying to come through?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm good, man. I appreciate it though. Whatever. Nah, I don't smoke."
Right.
And him and this one dude just kept giving each other this eye, and then there's another dude that was kind of like the middleman that was like in between, and he had dreads, and he was like real, like he was moving like this, like he smelled he smelled like weed, smelled like but he was just moving like this, and I'm just like, man, what is this dude doing? Like what? So when my dad asked me to come up to pray, I'm like, or he just asked me to come up. I was like, Dad, you got it. You pray. You good. He was like, Nah, son, I just need you to come up. So I'm like, all right. So I go up there with the baby and all that, and he starts praying, and he kind of gets emotional, but he kind of gets kind of a little stuck. And he was like, Yo, help me, son. And in that moment, I was just like, wow, like wow, okay, And my
Right. Right.
sister tapped me. My other sister tapped me like, come on, bro, like. And I started praying. And
Praise
then
God.
after I prayed, everybody was like, Amen. And the one dude that was all like, you know what I mean? He came up to me, and bro, when I tell you he was in my face, like he was like this, bro. Like breath smelled like alcohol and weed. He like, yo, man, yo, that prayer was beautiful, bro. Like, yo, I used to go to church, and I'm really trying to get and I'm like, wow, yo,
Mhm.
wow. And he's like, he's hugging me and all that stuff. And then his other man's that was looking like he had teardrops filled in all down his eyes
Wow.
and stuff. And I'm
Wow.
looking at this dude like, come on, man.
Wow.
That was nothing but God. But the way he looking at me, I can see his perception change too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow. So I became like this, not necessarily a figure, but just a representative of God, right
Right.
in that, right in the place. And it was just like this level of reverence. And it's just interesting how everybody just be doing their thing until like God's presence, and then it's like, yo, I need him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
he ain't even a thought until somebody brings him into the space, and that's what we
Mhm.
need to do. And that's the only reason why I share this because
That's good.
because
That's good.
obviously my perspective was was a little off because And dude was, you know what I mean? He was, you know, it was something going on. I wasn't tripping because even my sisters and stuff was like, she walked past me, it was like, you see this, bro? I'm like, yeah, like what's up with you? Like, why is this always the energy around? like, I'm like, what's up? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why is these two dudes they opposite? Like, why are they here? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I was just like, thank God that you know that he called on me. But you know, I'm saying this also because I need prayer, man. I need prayer. I was saying this on the piece the other day for me to step up,
Yeah.
you know, and not necessarily be like a silent agent any more secret agent. And not that I'm like hiding. It's just I just be chilling, you know.
Yeah.
And so I see the opportunity. Like I have become bold enough where if I see the woman in Wawa, I might not lay hands on her like right there while she ordering her sandwich. But I might be like, hey, you know, you good? You know, I always talk to people. Like that's just me.
Yeah.
But man, you know, just praying that I become a lot more bold and speaking up when God nudges me, because there's times where he tugging on me like, yo, go say it. I'm like,
Yeah.
for real, right here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like for real? He like, yeah, like right here. And I'm like, all right,
Man, that's what's up. That was beautiful. It's that was the church. And
yeah,
granted, in church, you are expected that when people come into church, they
mhm,
expect to hear worship, song, eulogy, or not I mean a sermon. And when they come to a funeral, they expect to hear a song, prayer, a eulogy. Like so certain entities you expect that. But when them gentlemen came to Fun City, they didn't expect to come into that.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
So we like whether you're at work or whatever in the marketplace, you don't expect that. Imagine wherever you work at, you come in, everybody holding hands, praying. They be like, "Hold up, isn't this a place of business? This ain't a Christian organization." But I think at Fun City, I assume y'all was about to bless the food or something. They get that part, But it's. I think wherever we go, we expect a certain thing. Whether we go to the barbershop, whether we go to Wawa, we don't expect to see Christianity on display. That's
yeah,
typically in a temple. But
yeah,
what happened at Fun City was like, wow, this wasn't. They didn't walk in with that,
yeah, yeah.
not on their
And I,
mind.
and I appreciate what my sister did. You know what I mean? I really do. Like I really appreciate, because although it was kind of, you know, although it was like that woke, like you said, that's super deep. You know, she was like, "Nah, my baby need prayer." You know, I
Man,
want her to be, and I
that's
was
awesome.
like, I
That's awesome.
like in that moment, I was like, my eyes were open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's good.
So
That's
I
good.
just
That's
thought
real
that it
good.
was beautiful. It thought it was a beautiful moment, and I just pray that it touch everybody's heart in there, especially my man. And I tell you, my man was like, he was like profuse, like in my face, bro. He was like, "Yo, man, I'm really trying to," and
Yeah.
I was just like, "Bro, you just take it step by step, man." And it's not like you gotta fix yourself to come to him. Like you gotta go to
Yeah. Yeah. That's
him
good.
first. Like surrender whatever it is that you got
Right.
going on. Allow him to. And I even extended like, "Yo, man, you know, we keep in touch, whatever." But he was just kind of like this, yeah.
You know what's good about that, yo?
No,
The
yeah,
the the part that sticks out to me the most about that whole thing is the fact that that gentleman was able to get an opportunity to reach God in the middle of his mess.
mm,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Because a lot of people, when they're in their dirt, when we're in our sin, when we're in our dark moments, we don't even think we can reach God
yeah,
because we're so dirty.
yeah,
So we're like, well, why would God even want to talk to me?
right,
yeah,
right. And that's
But
the
and
that's the
he was able,
perception.
God was able to use you to
yeah,
reach him in
yeah,
his dirt, in
Yeah,
his mess,
yeah,
and that's a
yeah,
blessing because now he knows, even if I'm doing the wrong thing, I could still reach God.
yeah. Because
That's beautiful.
yeah,
think about it. I'm thinking now. I mean, I'm thinking about their perception of me. Like I came in, I had the hoodie,
Right,
had my jeans, you know, I had my you know my
right,
cargos, and I had my sneaks on. So I'm looking like them. You know what I
right.
mean? Like we looking like each other. You know what I mean?
That's it.
And you know, when I open my mouth, I know he looking at me like
yeah.
yo, he was looking at me like I was crazy. And
Right.
Hmm.
it was just a
Yeah.
it was a moment that I really want to. That's how I want to live my life, yo. I really want to live my life just bringing God into spaces that people just it just awakes them, revives them. It it develops them. It brings them to Him. Like that's the kind of space I want to be in, man. And that little moment really really shifted my perspective. It really did, man. It really
No,
did.
that is, when the scriptures say we are the light of the world, what we have to understand is that what you did was you being light. See what happens with unbelievers when they view the word light, it's like, well, he see all my blotches, he see all my dirt, he
Yeah,
see
yeah.
all my. But when man comes with light and come beside someone that's dark,
Mm,
it's a comfort.
that's
Because
good, bro.
that's why people don't go to church, just because like the church supposed to be the light, but when I go in there I feel condemned, I feel judged, I feel
Mm,
low. But
mm.
in Fun City, it's like, oh,
Yeah,
this is in Fun City, someone bring the light, dude. I can respect you, I can walk with you.
yeah,
People can sit and watch doing life, but they ain't going into church,
yeah,
because it's just, so we have to be the light. and
yeah.
and that's the move. And from far as me, unbelievers are the easiest people to talk to. Some talking to church folks are harder. Like, and I'm just talking about my experience.
I'm
Like when
telling you.
I worked, I've
Yeah,
been working
yeah,
around unbelievers since I got saved, and they're more open, they're more vulnerable, they're more transparent. They talk about what's really going on. You talk to people in the church, they guarded, they got a wall up,
They
they,
holier than thou.
it's a little, so when I'm at work or I meet new families and stuff like that, they just be open and willing, because they put themselves in a position like, Alex, I'm allow you to hurt me. But the church would be like, no, I'm always going to have my fists up. I'm always going, and
mhm.
they're more, there's what you went through with Fun City, man, that happens all the time. I just don't think that we allow our light to shine. I
Yeah,
don't think we allow it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, hey, Albie, there's this show
Mm,
on Pureflix called Vindication.
Mhm.
And if you watch Vindication, it's similar to these frames. Like, you may perceive someone one way, and then as the story go on, you be like, whoa, I thought this dude was a pedophile. And I thought this dude was an adulterer. I thought this dude was a murderer. And when you're like, because all the clues show how this man was looking out for all these little girls, all the shoes closed, how this dude was so close to all of these women, never slept with none of them. Like you're framed to think, oh yeah,
yeah,
oh yeah, oh yeah, and then you're like, wow, nah, I was wrong. And
yeah.
and and we lived through that lens, man. This
It's
is a bad lens.
Yo, it's interesting. I gotta find this video. It was on Facebook some time ago, and I only remember two of the scenarios, but there were three. But it was a video where there was a black young man in like a corner store, and he was kind of like looking around, whatever. But the store owner was like, thinking that he was stealing or whatever, thinking that he was trying to steal. And then there was another, and then it was showing another flash of a woman on the side of the road. She was pregnant, she had bags, and then she had two kids, and it was like single mom. You know what I mean? Like it was portraying all of this, these typical perspectives, per se. And I can't even say they typical, but um, the next scene it showed the boy. He went up, he had money, he paid, he had a smile, he was like, you know what I mean? And it was like, whoa, like, you know what I mean? He was looking around because he was waiting for his kid to come around or whatever.
Wow.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, here, get that, whatever." And then the guy, he pulled up in the minivan, got out, got his wife, put her in the car, put the bags in the, and it was just like, wow, perspective is everything. We thought that
Perspective
that
is
was a single
everything.
mom, you know what I mean? And it was like, wow, man, I gotta find that video, but
Yeah. Yeah, if you find a share, because
yeah, I
perspective
will.
is everything.
It
'Cause,
really is, man.
like,
Yes. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
this last question, how can you reframe your current view on someone? to begin to see their potential instead of their problems.
Hmm.
The problem I have with that is that I don't have a a ton of case study of people doing a 180.
Hmm.
I don't have a whole lot. I may got one or two out of 300
Hmm.
where you just you treat you people show you who they are and they consistently do that. And so when it's asking how do we, it's like, Lord, I don't have a huge sample size. And even if I put myself on it, and the Lord be like, well, look at you. And it's like, well, Lord, I don't view myself how the way you view me, Lord. So I'm still working on me through you.
Mm.
So you want me to view whether it's a pedophile, whether it's a Republican, whether it's a white person, whether it's any type of gangbanger, you want me to have your lens. And I'm trying, Lord, but in the same sense, it's like, well, I'm trying to get my lens right too. Like, Lord,
Yeah.
sometimes I think you're asking too much of me in this carnal carcass that I have. So it's just one of those things where you it's a challenging move for me
Yeah.
to get to that place of deliverance. Of how can you reframe your current view on someone to begin to see their potential instead of their problems.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, most you can't teach most people discipline and sacrifice and willingness and openness, and there's so many steps to get there,
It
people to
is.
even adopt those frames.
I was I was reading. I'm trying to find it in this devotion, but I was reading this one devotion that really helped me with my perspective about just loving everybody, and it was talking about how um, God is the creator of all things. I'm a child of God, just like Joe Schmo down the street. And if I love God, then I love all that He created, and that shifted my perspective. It really did, and it when you hear it, it's like, wow, like, okay. But when you actually do it and you see, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's a difference. You know what I
big
mean?
time.
Because when I read for application. I don't just read to read. So when I'm reading this, I'm like, wow, this really changes my perspective. And it wasn't even I was going around looking at people crazy. It's just, there's some moments where you like lock my doors. You know what I'm saying? Let me click like they spell click, click,
Yes,
right?
sir.
But there are moments where it's like, man, I kind of feel bad for perceiving this person in that way.
Yeah.
So the perspective is everyone is a child again. If you believe in God, you believe the reality is He created all people,
Yes.
Yes.
and no matter
Agreed.
how jacked up they may seem,
Right.
He still loves them, and we
Yeah.
have to love them as well. And how do
If
we
you're
get there?
if
Is
Yeah.
you're
that
alive, there's
process,
hope.
right?
If you're alive, there's hope. But I gotta go, guys.
Yeah, yeah. All right, fellas, this was
Love y'all.
good. Love you too. Man, this was good.
Yeah.
I'm praying that people get this, man.
They started to. I
Yeah,
believe. I believe they started to.
I
And I believe that there are a lot of people out here now like us that are trying to spread it, share it.
spread the light. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's talking about perspective. Um, there's this one song, and it's funny because it's like this ain't blasphemy. People probably going to try to say something, but it was a song by Rick Ross,
Uh,
and he said something like I'm glad Donald Trump became the president because we have to destroy before we elevate, something like that, something like that.
yeah.
It made sense, right? Because like I look at all of this turmoil, all the stuff that's happening. We look at the negative thing of it, but there's also a positive perspective. We got to see it through God's lens. My perspective about this is because there's so much bad going on, people are looking
Look.
for something
Yeah.
to turn to.
Yeah.
People are finding God in these
Yep.
in this more than ever before.
That's facts.
And sometimes we need pressure. We know sometimes we need pressure, and we're seeing it in a global
Yeah.
perspective. Like people
That's
are
true.
being pressured by these experiences. A lot of folks. with this whole LGBT thing, like people don't know what to do. They don't know
Yeah.
what to say. Then it's like, man, I feel like I'm going left, going. I don't know what,
Right. Right.
political, politics. Like people feel like, man, what do I do? What do I like? Everything changes. How am I supposed to? It's like the only thing that remains the same is God and this word.
Yeah.
And now people are really starting to turn to Him, and I'm loving every moment of it, man. And I'm keeping that as my perspective rather than seeing things, um, you know, negatively.
Yeah. Agreed.
Well, I see it, I feel it, I get
Yeah.
it, but that's not how I'm going to spend my time. I have a God here that is powerful, all encompassing, and He's more powerful than all of these things that are going on. So
That's
I'm gonna continue to use this light, man.
agreed.
Continue to use
Likewise.
this light, man. But
I
yeah,
agree.
bro, love you, man.
All
Is
right,
there
dog.
anything you want to share with anybody before we roll?
Man. Thank y'all for watching. Appreciate you. Have a blessed day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See
Hey,
y'all
if
next time.
anybody has any comments, anything, throw them in the group. If you have any prayer requests, throw them in the group. We love to pray for you. Love to connect with you. This is doing life with the word, so we love to do life with you.
Absolutely.
Building relationships with those who that just tap in and want to know more about God. And if you want to know more about us, just
All
hit
right.
us up. We love y'all to life. Y'all have a great one. We'll see y'all on Monday. Peace.
Love you, bro.
Love you too.
Peace.